Welcome to Coleman Coliseum for tonight's Friday Night Heights matchup featuring the 6th-ranked Crimson Tide of Alabama as they host the 14th-ranked Missouri Tigers. This is the home opener for Alabama, and as always, we're expecting a huge crowd on hand to cheer on the 6-time NCAA champs. I'm Bart Conner along with Kathy Johnson-Clark and Laura Rutledge. We're excited to be here tonight to open our season of SEC Gymnastics. There is Alabama's head coach, Dana Duckworth. Alabama, one of the most storied programs in NCAA history. However, Kathy, they started the season with a loss at UCLA.
But it was a bold move taking on Pac-12 giant UCLA in the first meet. They didn't miss an event, but they had some messy parts. They really want to fix that in this competition on the home floor.
There is Shannon Welker in his 3rd season at the helm of Missouri, arguably the most improved team in the NCAA. They're off to a great start in 2016. This is their 3rd meet in 7 days.
Absolutely, and they're doing what they need to do. They've been so consistent. They've gelled as a team. Now their big challenge in front of them is how they respond coming into Coleman Coliseum in front of 1,000 Alabama fans.
All right. The host team gets what we call the Olympic order, which means Alabama will go vault, bars, beam, and floor. First up to start tonight's competition, junior Keely McNeer.
She performs a Giancroce vault. Nice block off the horse. Good position. A very controlled landing. Not a perfect stick, but they had major problems on this event in their opening meet.
6 gymnasts will compete on each event for each team. The best 5 scores only count towards the team total, meaning the lowest score is dropped. After 4 apparatus, the team with the biggest cumulative score wins. Home team event order, as I mentioned, vault, bars, beam, floor, and the away team order is the flip-flop of that. Bars, vault, floor, and then beam. Missouri will open up on the uneven bars. Madeleine Huber, one of many freshmen. In fact, 60% of the routines for the Missouri Tigers come from freshmen. This young lady out of St. Louis, Missouri.
And Bart, in their first 2 meets, they were like a machine on this event, really hitting the routines. They are all very similar. They start the same with the mount over the low, into this blind change, into their big release, single bar release. That is beautiful. Nice height. Really trying to hit those handstands perfectly on top of the bar. She does a double layout, beautiful amplitude, and an excellent dismount. She really hit the shape in the air exactly where you need it to be to look for that landing and find it.
Just what they need as the visiting Tigers get off to a start on the uneven bars. A lot of high fives all around for this very young team. Back over to the vault. Jenna Bresette, the freshman out of Kansas City, Missouri, will be up next.
It was funny. She was so nervous in her first meet, and Dana Duckworth noticed it and went up to her and started talking about her bow, of all things, just to distract her. And she said she loved the distraction. She was able to then focus on the vault, got great distance. Not quite the height I'd like to see to balance out. When you get that block, you really want to go up and out.
Laura Rutledge.
Well, Bart, there was more distraction from Dana just there with Jenna Bresette, talking to her about her makeup. She also mentioned the bow a little bit as well, keeping her smiling before she started running, and she's still all smiles.
You see the score there for Alabama in the first rotation was a 9.8. We go back over to Allison Bower, another freshman out of Mesa, Arizona. She has quite a family history in the sport of gymnastics. Her mother was a Big 8 champion at Nebraska, and her brother, Alan, is part of the Oklahoma men's NCAA championship team.
Bart, I really see the nerves on her face. They had a little rough 30-second warm-up, which is that last touch right before competition. They need to settle down, especially these freshman gymnasts.
Coaching staff said to look for focusing on hitting her handstands.
Here's her big release move. Straddle Jaeger, not quite the amplitude we saw from her teammate, but this is a nice transition down to low bar, hits the handstand well. to be a little bit conservative, really, going through this routine. So she's a tiny bit short on that last handstand, but a nice half in, half out. Again, just doubted herself a little bit in the air and on that landing, but that is a huge sigh of relief because I saw the nerves.
Fist pump from John Carney, the assistant coach responsible for bars there.
Nice double twisting, double back. Good difficulty on the dismount. Now,
Mackenzie Brannan, the sophomore out of Austin, Texas, will be doing one of the few Yurchenko 1.5 twisters. And Kathy, this is because of a new NCAA rule change.
yes, they finally devalued the full twist down to a 9.95 start value. This is worth a 10. 1.5 twist, she'll land away from the table. Line landing, she handled it beautifully. Had a few little form issues in the air, but they were very minor. You can see them in slow motion. She had pretty good block. There's the 1.5 twist. She'd like a little bit more height. She had to work really hard to get that landing.
This new rule change brings a little extra strategy into coaching, especially for the top teams in the NCAA. Do they do a safer Yurchenko full, or do they take the risk for the additional half a tenth benefit? Becca Schugel will be up next, a sophomore from Eagan, Minnesota. School far for 8.25 and 9.725. Good start.
What I like about this routine is look how tightly she keeps the legs together, the toes pointed. You'll notice some of the gymnasts are doing that transition all the way to a handstand on the low bar. She just shoots out with the half twist. Here's the dismount. She combines a full twisting pirouette to go into that much easier dismount to raise the level of difficulty.
Kathy, let's focus on some of the keys to getting a good score in vault.
Well, it's all about the block. You got to really blast off that table to get the height from the table and the distance. You want both, and you want that nice straight body stretch position in the air. A little flare with the arms after the finish of the twist, and of course, a perfect landing.
Mackenzie Brannan had a 9.85. Kiana Winston, the sophomore out of Fort Worth, will be up next.
Now, Kiana really has a good block off the table. She stayed a little tight throughout that vault. They'll have to take a little deduction there, but she got good distance from the table. Decent block, but watch how she gets in this piked kind of hollow position. Some of the gymnasts, the better vaults you'll see will actually flare at the end of that full twist, open up the hips a little bit more.
See, this year we'll be keeping a running score on the bottom of your screen throughout the entire competition. Brooke Kelly will be next up, the freshman.
She had a really disastrous 30-second warm-up. Missed the release move, went over on a handstand, really shook her up. Coach took her to the side, tried to calm her down. So I'm sure there's some butterflies flying around here.
This young lady is just from up the road in Leeds, Alabama, near Birmingham. She's got a cheering section here for her tonight.
So far, so good. Very nice combination. All of the Missouri gymnasts are doing that same release combination. At the beginning of the routine, the variety comes at the end on the dismount. This is a double layout, and that is beautiful. That's one of the best double layouts on the uneven bars. Gorgeous stretch, laid out position, excellent technique here. And what a relief to see her get through this bar routine. She calmed down, took her time. That's the thing. When you're nervous, you tend to rush and you get out of your rhythm.
Back to vault for Alabama. Katie Bailey will be up. Kiana Winston before her, by the way, had a career high 9.875.
Now this is a new vault for Katie. She did a Yurchenko half last year. This is a full. Wow,
nice.
Look at the landing there. That was the best part of the vault. It's very well executed. She has good block, nice balance between the height and the distance, and of course the best part of the vault was that landing.
Morgan Porter, another freshman, this one out of Overland, Missouri. up next on the bars for Missouri. They're doing a very nice job over there. Their scores all range between 9.725 and 2.9825s.
Muscling just a little bit through this routine. Held her form pretty well on her release move.
Does a little bit of an unusual dismount.
She does the blind change right here to set it up, and now she's going to do a front double, and she does it extremely well. She has such keen air sense.
I watched her in warm-ups, and she stuck every one, and that's hard to do.
Really, really nice. Just like a cat, knows exactly where she is in the air. Her legs are a little bit apart, a little bit of cowboy in that position, but boy, does she know where she is, and drops it in for a perfect landing.
And the final vaulter for Alabama in this first rotation will be Lauren Beers.
And Lauren can do a 1.5 twist, so I think she's only going to do the full here. Very, very good block. Technically, Lauren is a very good gymnast. Notice that straight body line as she goes onto the table. She gets good block, nice stretch position, and much better this week. Last meet, she tried too hard to stick, got ahead of herself.
That score last week at UCLA, 48-7. They bobbled some landings. Expect a much more substantial score tonight. They're already over the 49 mark, which is kind of a benchmark in women's collegiate gymnastics on a team score per event. Morgan Porter had a 9.85 on bars. Katie Bailey a 9.875. So the final bar worker for Missouri is Shauna Miller, the sophomore.
And she breaks the mold a little bit of the Missouri bar routine. She sets it up the same way with the same release move. Nice pike front. She had a little trouble in the warm-ups on that release move. No trouble there. Very good handstand on the low bar. Having to muscle just a little bit toward the end of the routine, running out of gas. Picks up the momentum and gets a good double layout and landing, though. Had to work a little bit, but she got through it and got through it pretty well.
What a great start for the visiting team. You come in here to Coleman Coliseum. Alabama is a heavy favorite on many levels, and yet Missouri did exactly what they need to do in this first rotation, didn't they?
Absolutely. It's all about consistency. They're trying to make their mark, prove to the conference, prove to the nation that they are not just in it to survive. They want to compete.
We're at the Coleman Coliseum, where the spectacular Crimson Tide on fire right now. The first rotation of 4 is complete here at the Coleman Coliseum. Take a look at the scores for the teams after one rotation. Alabama much better this week on vault than they were last week against UCLA. Lauren Beers capped it off with a great 9.9. They're 0.6 of a point ahead of their team score from last week against UCLA. Missouri did a nice job on the bars. The score 9.725 is dropped, but very respectable scores in that 9.75 to 9.85 range. Hi, everybody. My name is Bart Connor, and I'm proud, as always, to be joined by my fellow Olympic medalist, Kathy Johnson-Clark. It's so great to be doing this Friday Night Heights. We're here in Coleman Coliseum. What do you think of Alabama in this first rotation? Were you impressed with how they handled the vault?
Absolutely. They did exactly what they needed to do. The problems they had in their season opener was they got ahead of themselves. They tried too hard to stick the vault. You got to do the vault first. So it looked like they really concentrated on the technique and the mechanics of the vault. Hit the shape in the air, the landing will come.
Now, one of the big concerns for Missouri coming in here is a very young team, and yet they're in one of the meccas of college gymnastics. How do you think they handle the pressure in the first rotation?
They handled it beautifully, because I watched their warm-ups and I wasn't quite sure what to expect. I could tell there were nerves. I could tell there was a lot of adrenaline, but when it came right down to it, they focused and hit their routines.
All right, when we come back, we'll move to the second rotation. Shauna Miller will lead the Tigers on the vault, and Alabama will go to the uneven bars. Don't go away.
Winning back-to-back SEC championships was obviously something that I will never forget. It was an amazing experience. That day, it was just about us having fun, doing what we do best. Being able to win that with them was such a great moment.
Just to be able to continue that legacy on and be part of that is just a great experience.
It was just a really cool feeling to do it twice in a row, and we're hoping we can do the same this year.
I think it just goes to show how this program really builds champions inside and out.
Two-time defending SEC champs, Alabama. That's their 9th SEC title overall. Let's go down to Laura Rutledge.
Well, Bart, Dana Duckworth has made some changes to this Alabama Bars lineup this year, and that will mean Mackenzie Brannan will lead off because of her dynamic routine. Dana said that's the way that they need to start things off, and that means Keely McNeer, who has led off the past year, she'll be in the 2nd spot. And Keely told me they were happy with their bars rotation in LA, but they want to be better tonight. They want to be tighter. They want to really stick their handstands. They felt like they were rushed in LA, and tonight will be different for them. And that was really the theme coming into this meet. It's about fine-tuning some of those small mistakes in LA, you guys.
There is Crimson Tide getting set for the bars, but we will open up with Missouri on the ball. Madeleine Huber, to see her vault average 9.7. Just a notch or so below the kind of numbers we're seeing from the Alabama gymnast. She's a freshman out of St. Louis.
Let's see if she can pull this vault off without piking down out of the position. A little bit. Notice how she lands with her chest forward. They'll have to deduct for that. They really want to see them maintain the laid out position. In order to do that, you got to get a great block. She needs a little bit more height. She had to bring down her feet, which causes the pike in the body and the chest forward on landing.
There is Mackenzie Brannan, the sophomore out of Austin, Texas, did her club training at Capital Gymnastics. And as Laura mentioned, this is the first time she's been in that lead-off role. Let's see how she does.
And last meet was the first time she competed in the all-around. It's all about rhythm on this event. You want to take your time, get into that rhythm, don't rush. Nice handstand there. Ooh, a little bit of sway on the back. Fortunately, she's young. That hurt my back.
Very smooth here.
Actually, very elegant on this event. Even the landing, very light, very soft, but no movement. Most important of all. Here's her release move. She caught a little bit close. Anytime they're that close to the bar and the arms are bent, they'll take a little deduction, but look at that handstand right on top of the bar. Very nice, elegant, double layout, slight leg separation, but of course we're looking at that from the end. The judges are sitting on the side. They may or may not have seen that.
Angie Kern will be next, a junior out of Columbia, Missouri. 9.725 with the score for Huber.
Very nice, Giancroce half. Boy, if she starts twisting that just a little bit earlier and goes into a front layout, that would be worth a 10.0 in the code of points. Right now it's a Giancroce half and it's valued at a 9.95. She got a little excited, over-amped on that landing too.
You see the average score there for Keely McNeer, who is moving to the 2nd spot in the lineup. She, as we mentioned, used to that lead-off role. She is known as a competitive guru and very focused. I get the impression, doesn't matter where you put her in the lineup, she's reliable.
No, she's very even-keeled. I guess I should say even-keeled. Very confident. Nice release move. You're going to see a lot more variety in the routines from Alabama.
See Brian Rashilla, the associate head coach, stepping in on that release connection.
Played it a little conservative on the final cast, but rocked the double layout. No movement of the feet, just a slight pike down from the air, but nice job this early in the season.
By the way, Mackenzie Brannan, who got that lead-off roll, started him off with a 9.825. Very nice job. Kennedi Harris, the sophomore out of Atlanta, will be up next. We have a 9.725 for Madeleine Huber and Angie Kern a 9.75 for both of them. Season high scores in their third meet within 7 days.
Very, very nice. Giancroce full again. This time, though, notice how when she finished the twist, she had a little bit of a flair, a little style there. Got very good distance from the table, but I like the way she opened up after the twist to look for the landing.
Angelina Giancroce will be next up for Alabama on the bars. She's a freshman with her gymnastics club training in Hayden's International Gymnastics Academy. Dan Hayden, a former U.S. national team member, was her coach there. She's known for her elegant lines.
I'm sure Dan Hayden is responsible for these long, beautiful lines. Really want to swing this event. Nice release combination. Whoa! Almost went over on that handstand. Nice pack salto. She had trouble with that in the first meet. She competed exhibition, but managed that beautifully here. Very long swing, good toe point. Floated that double layup, but had to work really hard to bring it down out of the sky. Had to pipe down. They'll take a little deduction there. Just a little loose on her back. Mistimed this ever so slightly. A little loose there on that handstand. Whoa! Pulled it back though.
Back to the vault now. Morgan Porter. Kennedi Harris, a 9.875, a career high.
Another fall. She really gets the best block on the team. Really times that, because it's all timing and body position. You want a strong body so that when you hit that table, you get the good bounce, you get the good push through the shoulders and up into the afterflight.
Amanda Jeter, the junior, will be next on the bars for Alabama.
Amanda's seen action on 3 events throughout the course of her career. And consistently steps up on this event. Always solid here.
Former 4-time U.S. national team member.
What I like about this team is they really all have their roles. They do them so well. There are times they lead, there are times they follow. A little bit short on that transition to low bar to the handstand. Very nice setup for her dismount. Look how tightly she keeps those knees together on the double front. That's a routine to get excited about. She was really very on throughout the entire routine. Didn't quite get the stick on the landing, but very pretty form in the air.
So Coach Dana Duckworth likes it. She's in her 21st season here, her second as the head coach. Britney Ward up now, the freshman from Ozark, Missouri.
Nice half twist on, pipe front off. Now that's a vault that is actually scored out of a 10.0 in the new code of points. So that's where that is going to benefit this gymnast. She's a little bit off center, so they will have to take a deduction for landing slightly off to her right. But really beautiful technique, nice crisp turn onto the table. It's always nice to see something different.
Amanda Jeter, 9.875 on bars for Alabama. That's a career high. And that brings up Kiana Winston. She had a 9.9 last week. She tied for the event win at the UCLA dual meet.
She came up big for them last week. It's a very easy swing to this routine. Look at the height. There's the big amplitude that you want to see on the uneven bars. It really sets you apart. And then another big transition, the pack salto down to the low bar. This is great quality work, higher level of difficulty. See if she can get the stick on the double layup. Oh, not quite the stick, but I love the routine from the execution and form. to the level of difficulty, and that big release move way up above the bar. Watch this. That's fun. She's just a little bit close. You can see from this angle, she had to catch with her arms slightly bent.
The team liked it. You know, her former coach, Kim Burdette, and her husband, Chris Burdette, at Texas Dreams, done a nice job with her. Shauna Miller now, final vaulter.
Oh, little bit low on the landing. She knows it. Didn't quite get the block off the table. It's all timing. You've got to transition. You've got to take the speed of the run and get in that right position, time the block.
By the way, she's coming off of the score from Britney Ward, which is 9.925. Turns out that was the highest score of any athlete tonight, and it's for the Missouri vaulter, Britney Ward. Katie Bailey will wrap up this second rotation for Alabama on the bar. She's the junior out of Kernsville, North Carolina.
And she qualified for event finals last year at NCAA's on this event. She's really picked up right where she left off last year. Very nice technique on her Jaeger front.
Oh.
Look at that. Show off. Showing that handstand. There is no doubt. Watch this. Full out. I love that. Oh, too bad. Had to check and take a step on the landing, but it's a really cool dismount. We've seen full twisting double backs. I love it when it's a full out. That first somersault is free. Very good transition to here and just nails it. Now watch in slow motion. The first somersault is clear, then she twists on the second. Couldn't quite get the dismount. She over-rotated ever so slightly.
And Laura is down with Coach Shannon Welker from Missouri right now.
Thanks, Bart. Coach, you told us your team hadn't quite lived up to its full potential on vault. After what you saw tonight, what do you think they are?
Yeah, I was pleased. I think we really lived up to more of the potential that I think we're capable of this evening, at least so far. And vault was nice, and they took care of landings, which was one of our goals coming into this meet as well. So we're proud of them, and I think we're off to a good start.
You mentioned that good start. You knew this would be a tough environment for your young team. How have they handled that aspect of it?
Boy, they're doing great. You know, warm-ups were okay, and, you know, we just told them we know we're capable of more than that, and I think they've done so far so good. So we're rolling along, but this is what we see in practice, so I think this is not a shock to any of us.
Thanks, Coach. Bart, a great adjustment after warm-ups for Missouri.
And Missouri did a nice job on the vault, a 49.025, a season high. Britney Ward had a 9.925, a career high, and the high score of the meet so far for that landing. Back inside Coleman Coliseum, I'm Bart Connor along with Kathy Johnson-Clark and Laura Rutledge. Here are the scores at the halfway point in this competition. With a lead of just under a half a point, the home Crimson Tide doing a nice job, but Missouri hanging in there for a very young and relatively inexperienced team. First chance they've ever been in Coleman Coliseum, which is legendary.
I'm really happy to see how Missouri is doing, particularly on bars. They came up with a 49. Keep that benchmark in mind. When you get up over 49, you really start to become much more competitive.
And the teams are warming up for their next rotations. Look at those scores there. Nicely done. 9.925 for Britney Ward. Not only her career high, but the highest score for any athlete in the meet. What do you think about the scores for Alabama on the bars?
I think they were very, very solid. We saw some good gymnastics, particularly this early in the season. We're going to see them zone in a little bit more on the handstands and, of course, the landings. But Dana Duckworth has told them we're not trying to stick landings yet. That happens as the season progresses.
All right, Paige Zaziski from Arkansas We'll see Arkansas against Georgia later tonight on the SEC Network.
And we have high expectations for what we're going to do. We've talked as a team, and we feel that really our only limitation is what we personally can accomplish in competition. So, we're hopeful that we can be in a position at the end of the year to compete for a spot at NCAA championships, and as well be competitive in our conference, which is something that we're intending to do this year as well.
Really impressed with the work that Shannon Welker has done. He's just in his 3rd season, as you see the running team total there. He's really worked hard to change the culture at Missouri and try to get them up into that tier 1 of the SEC. How do you think he's doing so far, Kathy?
Oh, I think he's doing an incredible job, and we will see later on when they go to balance beam, very good progress on that event as well.
As we mentioned, Alabama goes to the beam in this 3rd of 4 rotations. And Missouri will be on the floor.
And they had a tremendous final touch warm-up. Looked really solid, very confident. And Dana Duckworth calls this young lady Steady Eddie, and that's exactly what you want for your lead-off beam performer. Nice correction on that full turn with the plie.
It's interesting that Keely McNeer competed only twice for Alabama as a freshman, but 44 times in the lineup last year. A significant contributor.
Just a leap series. Gymnast must show. She lost it just on stepping backwards. A little bit of a break in focus. 1.5 twist, little short on rotation, but a true veteran there really pulled it out, could sense that she was a little short, worked hard to get that landing.
Laura?
Bart, it's hard to imagine, but Keely McNeer almost quit gymnastics. She was planning on competing in the 2012 Olympics. That was her goal. She began training intensely in 04, and she had a ton of injuries, 2 knee surgeries, a stress fracture in her leg. Decided she got sick of gymnastics, but Dana Duckworth kept recruiting her, convinced her to come here to Alabama, and her love of gymnastics was rekindled, and look at her now.
Brooke Kelly will lead off the Tigers on the floor exercise. You see her average score this year, 9.738. The freshman from just up the road in Birmingham, Alabama area.
Most of the gymnasts on this team open with that same pass, pike double.
This is an event where Missouri has been just under the 49 mark in their first 2 meets this year. They're really hoping to break over 49, and they have 4 freshmen in their lineup on this event as well.
Combination pass. We'll see that a lot in college gymnastics, a front layout to a front full. Sometimes it's reverse sequence. How this team meets the bonus requirements and really fulfill and show their high-level gymnastics is by ending the routine with a double back. So they do 2 double saltos in the routine. This one will be in top position. Very nice landing, very solid. Strong start from Missouri on floor. As I said, the whole team, almost, I think without exception, opens with the pike double and ends with this tuck double. Shows very, very good fitness to finish strong with the double salto.
We go back to the beam for Alabama. Asia Sims will be up. Keely McNeer had a 9.85, a season high, in her leadoff role. Sims is recovering from a shoulder surgery over the summer. They're kind of pacing her a little bit in her comeback. Want to be smart. It's a long season, isn't it, Kathy?
And in fact, they're going to do the little guy here. That's what they call this routine. She'll do a different dismount than she usually does. Oh, now that's just a little concentration error. This is one of my favorite balance beam workers. I love her form, especially on the leaps. Back handspring layout, step out, rushed that. I could tell on the back handspring she's just a little ahead of herself. She needs to settle down. And then when it's your third year of competition, you know how to do that.
She's a junior from Orlando. Brandy Johnson was her coach. People might remember Brandy was a 1988 Olympian and one of the great U.S. gymnasts of all time.
Here's the little guy. Gainer back off the end. She usually does a round of double back and does it very well, but they're being extremely careful bringing these athletes back from surgery, and it's a long season.
Allison Bower will be up next for Missouri on the floor. I mentioned earlier that she comes from a long line of gymnastics stars. She's a freshman on the Missouri gymnastics team, daughter of David and Jaynard. Her mother, Jane, Nebraska gymnast, 87-90, Big 8 all-around champion, and her brother, Alan, who I see often in men's gymnastics events, two-time All-American for the NCAA champs, the Sooners.
Whoop. Looks like she might have stepped out of bounds over that line, out of her double pike.
I mentioned this is the third meet in 7 days. They had Illinois, and then 2 days later they had a meet with Lindenwood. Apparently, she didn't do very well in the opener against Illinois, but came back strong in the second meet against Lindenwood.
The more she competes, the more she will come out of her shell. She's a little bit small in her performance. Part of it is just, she's a freshman. This is all new.
Small in terms of small hand movement, small presentation.
And even her facial expression. She needs to look out. The audiences, some of them are up in the rafters. You've got to do big performance in order to see and come out of your shell. But very, very nice job. As you said, she had trouble in the first meet, came back strong, and has done her job again. She opened with a pike double back. She was slightly off center, so she's off to the right. So when she steps right over that line, that's a tenth of a point for the out of bounds.
Katie Bailey will be up now for Alabama on the beam. 9.675 was the score for Asia Sims after that minor bobble. Gymnastics fans might remember last year, the last half of the season, she struggled often with back spasms, which really kept her out of the lineup several times.
Very soft landing. To expand on what we were talking about in terms of performance, notice the great posture, and you command a presence when you're on both the balance beam and the floor exercise, both with the hand gestures, fluid arms, but you make it big enough so that everyone in the arena can see it and feel it. Sort of the difference between the shy person in the room and the one who's demonstrative, telling jokes, big personality. Well, you want big gymnastics. Very, very well done by Katie Bailey. Excellent work. She finishes with a double twist out of the round off. Nice tight form in the air. Just a little side step.
(9.6) was the score for Allison Bower, which brings up Angie Kern for Missouri. Consistent contributor for Missouri in past years on vault and floor. Last year in the dual meet between Missouri and Alabama, she had her career high scores on both those two events, 9.85s for floor and ball.
She has to work extra hard trying to point the toes and the feet and extend, especially you can see they're very significantly taped to protect ankles on landings. Makes it a little bit harder to really show off the perfect form you need in the split leaps. Oh, missed the timing, unfortunately. From the first skill into the second, just missed the timing of the punch. And we'll take a fall. 0.5 of a point off her fall.
And to this point, Missouri has been right on track. That's the first bobble we've seen from the Tigers.
Finishes with a Rudy, a 1.5 twist. Oh, too bad about the fall in the middle of the routine. I know she'll be disappointed with that. And it took her more into herself. You could then see the look on her face completely changed and went more into concentration instead of performing.
Lauren Beers set for the beam next. Laura?
Well, Bart, Lauren Beers told me she's the queen of overthinking, and Dana Duckworth knows this about her gymnast. And just now, she went over to Lauren and she said, "What's up, girl? You're gonna be just fine. You got this." Lauren took a deep breath and said, "Thank you." She knows that she can rely on her coach for that calming effect before she hits the beam.
Well, for many years, Dana Duckworth was the responsible for the beam team at Alabama, and they've had some pretty cool characters over their years. Now, of course, Dana is in the role of the head coach of the entire program.
The great thing about Lauren's gymnastics is you would never know she's overthinking when she's on balance beam. She's very, very calm looking. She's so well trained. Technically, takes her time. Oh, no, 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 no. Just a little doubt right there. Had to check herself. Fortunately, she didn't overcorrect, which is a tendency when you're nervous.
She was pulled in last week as a last-minute replacement for Carly Sims after she stung her ankle on vault, and she did beautifully against the UCLA Bruins, 9.85.
It's the one thing Dana does very well, prepares them to be ready for anything, no matter what happens. Be called on last minute as a replacement, change a routine, take something out. Handled this one very well, 1.5 twist. Even the slight error in the routine, she kept herself from overcorrecting. Watch this. You could just see the second of doubt. She lacked rotation. She had to pike down too hard to make the landing. Came back strong.
Yes, right stick. Way to finish strong, Lauren!
Dana Duckworth liked it. We go back over to the floor. Michaelee Turner, the freshman out of Parkville, Missouri. By the way, Angie Kern had an 8.95, so it's important to remember 6 athletes will compete. The lowest score is dropped, so that puts a little extra pressure on the 3 remaining performers here for Missouri.
Very pretty performer here. Nice landing on the double pike. Watch with both her movement, her presence, her posture. And her facial expression really engages the audience, brings them in. Nice combination of back 1.5 to the front layout. Judges are really looking for some of the difficulty to come in the dance elements, like those leaps. Anytime you see a leap where they're turning in the air, a full rotation, and connecting it with another skill, they get some bonus points for the connection. Tuck double back. Oh, no lift on that tuck double back, but she managed with power and strength, pulled it around.
College basketball continues on the SEC ESPN network tomorrow with a doubleheader. First at 6 Eastern, Alabama takes on Vanderbilt. Then at 8:30 Eastern, Arkansas takes on LSU. The game will also be streaming live on the ESPN app. Back to the beam for Alabama. Lauren Beers had a 9.85. Kiana Winston up now.
Really enjoyed watching this athlete warm up on this event. Very pretty and unusual composition. Very original.
Dana Duckworth said she hasn't competed beam for 2 years.
I like the way she goes up high on her toes. Somewhat of a lost art on balance beam. Oh no, little break. Can really see her regroup after that aerial walkover. Beautiful back handspring. Her back pike lands on 2 feet. As I said, it's just nice to see different skills, both in the skill selection and in the choreography. Gorgeous leap combination. Definitely one of my favorite balance beam routines here. Very elegant on the full turn.
Supposed to go for a difficult dismount. She usually does a round off to a double back.
This routine from start to finish has been extraordinary. Very nicely done. That should score well. What's nice to see too is there's still room to grow. This routine will only get better as the season progresses. Love this series, very nicely done. She was slightly crooked in the air, but made a correction. It's the coolest thing about gymnastics.
Yeah! Great job, Kiana!
And back to the floor now. Morgan Porter, the freshman out of Overland, Missouri. Michaelee Turner had a 9.85, so they're back on track after the 8.95 for Angie Kern. We still need 2 hit routines.
Gymnasts do this combination pass, the back 1.5 to the front layout. Great to see the smiles on their faces really coming up with their best performances here.
It's interesting that they're all finishing with tuck double backs. I mean, Coach Welker is really raising the bar in terms of expectations, in terms of difficulty, isn't he?
Absolutely. They don't have the big E tumbling passes that some of the top teams have. We've not seen the double layouts or double Arabians or full ends. But they are doing what they can do and showing the difficulty, at least at the end of the routine, with the tuck double back.
Take a look at the Alabama beam scores. Kiana Winston, a 9.775.
Well, she did have to, you have to take the deduction. She had the balance checks. It's too bad when you don't see really enough credit given to something that's very artistic, very original, and a higher level of difficulty.
Well, the judges were having a conference about that score, so it's likely that they didn't quite agree on some of those minor deductions. The score has been changed now to a 9.825 for Kiana Winston.
They might have had a question in terms of their start value.
Final performer for Alabama will be Nickie Guerrero, sophomore out of McKinney, Texas. Did her club training at Zenith Elite 8 times last year. She did balance beam in the lineup, has a career high of 9.875.
She's the only one here doing a 3-trick series. If she's on this, and she was in the warm-ups, it's a back handspring to 2 layout step-outs. Very difficult, very risky. Whoa, nicely done. She had to make a correction. I was going to say earlier, the neat thing about gymnastics is the corrections that gymnasts can make in the air, in flight. We're not like basketballs that once it leaves the hand, nothing can happen. You make minor little adjustments in air. Side aerial. She's a very good trickster on the beam, does a lot of difficult skills. Oh, big step. They'll take a deduction there on the big step. She'll learn to hide that a little bit better. If you're over-rotating, there's a way to do it without such a large step, but this was the best part of the routine. She even had a little adjustment after that first layout. I saw the foot go off a little bit. I thought she was going to be off, but amazingly, she pulled it back on.
Asia Sims had their low score over there in 9.675, so we'll see if Guerrero beats that score as we go back to floor now for Missouri. Morgan Porter, a 9.825. So once again, this is a crucial routine because they're trying to replace the 8.95 of Angie Kern, and that brings up Kennedi Harris.
And so far, she has had 2 big floor routines this season. Oh, opened up just a little too soon on that pike double back. Got a little anxious to land. That I'm seeing a little bit more performance from this team in this competition. Ramit I watched from last week. They were much more into themselves instead of expressing outward. I think that's the benefit of competing here at Coleman Coliseum. They're a great, great audience. They love gymnastics. Tuck double back at the end, much better lift. Going into that one, she was going to make sure she hit the landing. Strong routine. This one had much better lift. She stayed with it, did not rush, didn't open up too soon, and really got a good landing on that one.
And Laura is with a very happy Coach Dana Duckworth right now.
Thanks, Bart. Coach, you try out that particular beam lineup for the first time. How do you think they did? How would you assess their performance?
Well, it's all a process in figuring out the right balance. Maybe, maybe not. I'll look back at it. I'm not quite sure. But you know what? We're staying in our bubble. That's all we're talking about. One thing at a time, one skill at a time, one routine at a time, and just enjoy this journey. And they're doing a great job of that. So it's an improvement from last week. And now we need to go over to floor and stay in control.
You mentioned staying in control on floor, and you told me that you want them to feed off the crowd energy, but not too much. What's your message there?
Well, you either go full-out salsa or medium salsa. So we're sticking with the medium salsa right now until we get a little later in the season so we can build our endurance of what that's going to look like so we have great last passes with our chest up and controlled landings. So, again, it's the process.
Thanks, Dana. Bart, are you guys in medium salsa right now?
Yeah, I stay with the medium. Kathy?
I might be a little mild right now.
Nicely done. Well, all scores for Alabama over 49. They lead by 7/10 of a point. Lauren Beers did her part for the Crimson Tide. All right, here are the scores after 3 of 4 rotations. As we mentioned, Alabama over 49 on all of the events. They will be moving to the floor. The visiting Missouri Tigers will be moving to the balance beam. Alabama has a lead of 7/10 of a point. And there were their scores on the beam. They dropped at 9.675. Everything else between 9.8 and 9.85. Great job for the second meet of the season. And Missouri did an outstanding job to replace that 8.95. Kennedi Harris came up big with one of 2 9.85s in that rotation. Very impressed with this young team from Missouri. They come in here and people are rocking and they expect, championships for the Crimson Tide. Missouri's doing a nice job.
Absolutely. They hadn't hit a 49 on any event yet this season. They almost have 3. 2 49 pluses and then almost a 49 over on floor exercise. They have to be happy.
Alabama goes to the floor now where I expect they'll shine. They have a good lead and now they can just hammer it home.
I love it. Dana Duckworth is such a gymnastics wonk, and I mean that in just the best way. She thinks through everything. I loved her response to the no, maybe not quite. She thinks through every minute detail to make this team the best it can be.
All right, so the 4th and final rotation. The home team go into the floor exercise, which will feature a highlight, no question about it, from Lauren Beers. Don't go away. The final rotation from Coleman Coliseum after this. We're set now for the 4th and final rotation. Alabama has a lead of 7/10 of a point. Now both coaches have been mic'd up for the entire meet. Let's hear from them.
I thought that was really impressive, okay? Good. Now I'm starting to see what we're capable of.
I'm confident. I'm confident. Breathe it out. Beyond reason. Beyond reason.
And you finish strong. And you know what? We got to have that because it's not always going to be perfect.
I'm excited for you to try the new beam routine.
We're just going out to improve, okay? That's your goal, right? Go out, make sure we're showing what we're capable of doing.
Yes! Great stick! Way to finish strong, Lauren!
Well, I love the mentoring spirit of these two terrific coaches doing a fine job with both of their teams at different respective levels of development, aren't they?
Yes, and what you really have to focus on in gymnastics is to be normal. They train and prepare so well in the gym. You just want to be able to bring it into competition. Not get ahead of yourself, not look back. If you've made mistakes, you have to leave it behind you and move forward. And these coaches do such a great job of keeping them calm and ready to go out and compete. Not trying to be better than they've been, just do what they've done in training.
Not always an easy thing to do. Sophomore Tia Allbritten now. She's out of Garland, Texas. Was in the beam lineup for all 13 meets in 2015. Coach Welker said she was a little bit off the first couple of meets this year.
Their beam coach, Casey Jo McPherson, has done just a terrific job with these gymnasts on this event. She was a superb balance beam worker herself at Arkansas, one of the best. And I love that they take risk, but it's managed risk. Nice front toss. Try to point those toes just a little bit harder, but a very, very successful beam routine. There's Casey Jo greeting her. Has to be pleased with her leadoff gymnast.
The entire staff there, including Casey Jo and John Kearney in front of her in their 3rd season, working together with Shannon Welker, doing a great job building expectations around Missouri gymnastics. Asia Sims now to the floor.
This will be fun seeing Alabama's new floor routines. This one is new and very fun from what I've been told. Now, Bart, you asked me about performance and really expressing outward, not just to your teammates right at the edge of the floor, but out into the audience. A little awkward on that landing, but not really a deduction. Just looked like she was almost surprised by it. But look at the facial expression, the movement, very expressive.
Now, how much easier is that to do at home when you're in front of thousands of adoring fans versus away?
It's a little bit easier, but this team actually performs about like this even on the road. That takes experience, though, and confidence, and that's what Missouri is building.
Sims is a junior out of Orlando.
Whoa, pulled that out because she is a great athlete. She was definitely short, missed the timing on the punch between the skills, but pulled it out. She did not compete on floor exercise that much last year. It's nice to see her in this event. Tuck double back. Very nice choreography, beautiful leaps in that routine. Slightly awkward on two of the landings. They will definitely have to deduct there.
Come on, squeeze, squeeze. She is getting ahead of herself on that.
Exactly what I said. The thing you can't do is get ahead of yourself. You have to do the skill, not think of the landing too soon.
Easier said than done. Morgan Porter now, the freshman. 9.75 was the score for Tia Allbritten in the leadoff role.
Very nice combination. Two jumps into a standing back tuck. Nice combination. Here's her flight series, backhand spin layout step up. Very solid landings. Very secure on this apparatus. Walk up into split jump. This was what I was talking about. They actually take quite a bit of risk on this event, and I know that is Casey Joe's work here. She could throw every trick in the book, and these gymnasts are doing really well, showing off nice risky elements, but doing them very well.
That is Mackenzie Valentin, the junior. If you'll excuse me, I need to boast just a little bit. She did her club training at my gym, the Bart Conner Gymnastic Academy. Went to Arizona for a couple of years and then transferred and became a walk-on here at Alabama. She's a bright and spirited young lady, and man, is she powerful on the floor.
Alabama's first ever transfer. Now she is almost ready to do a double layout. I don't think she's going to throw it here. But that's an upgrade she's looking forward to. Double front. Wow. She is a powerhouse. Definitely a front tumbler. Got to work just a little harder on that toe point, really holding the point from the top of the leap all the way down to the floor.
Asia Sims had a 9.7 in that leadoff performance.
See her resting, getting ready. That'll start to go away towards the end of the season. And is strong. Look at the height on that pike double back. If she was tired, it didn't show there. That extra breath helped her get the height she needed. Very nicely done.
Coach Duckworth said they really changed their training strategy a little bit. They do less gymnastics and a little bit more conditioning. It seemed to show there.
Running double front. Boy, does she pick up some speed on that run, and I would too.
Breathe, Kenzie. Okay, now see it. Trust and see. Trust and see. Come on, Kenzie. See it, see it. Yes! Beautiful!
Back to the beam now for Missouri. 9.75 was Tia Allbritten, Morgan Porter, and 9.775 Allison Bower up next. So far, Missouri has had only one low score, but they replaced it on floor exercise.
It's nice to see her face relaxing just a little bit. At the start of the routine, there was a little more tension in the face. I see her, certainly has her beam face on. A lot of concentration.
Originally, Shauna Miller was in the lineup, but we got a late change, and they put Allison Bower in the third spot.
That leap into a side somersault. Good combination. Nice smile at the end. A little bit of relief there. Dismount off to the side, gain a full. She's happy with that. Very well done. You forget how many freshmen are in this lineup, and they're not even used to traveling to these competitions, taking on so much early on.
Let's go down to Laura.
You heard Dana Duckworth say earlier that they're at medium salsa level right now on floor exercise. They hope to get to full salsa, of course, later on in the season. But she said what happens is a lot of times when gymnasts will practice, they won't do full-out expression, and then they get into the meet and they turn into either Britney Spears or Beyonce, and they're feeding off of the student section so intensely that they run out of energy toward the end of the routine. So she wanted them to really work on that expression during practice this week. That's what they did. Keely McNeer said it this way: you have to feed off the student section in the correct way, but don't let them make or break you.
Now, and Beyonce doesn't have to do a double back at the end of her performance, so good advice.
Nicely done, ladies. Okay, Nickie Guerrero up. Mackenzie Valentin, a 9.825. Nice job.
Combination. Notice how she twisted the second skill in that combination. A little bit more difficulty. She's putting it out there. A lot of performance quality here, but you can see her shift and start thinking tumbling, face changes. As they get more comfortable throughout the season, they'll carry that performance all the way to the tumbling. 1.5 to a front layout. We've always said one of the most fun things to do is compete in front of your home crowd. And she's really added that second twist on the second skill. A lot of twisting in the combination pass.
Back to the balance beam. Allison Bower, by the way, a season-high 9.8. Brooke Kelly up now. Kathy, I remember last year you were commenting about how impressed you were with the skill level and the complete beam team that Missouri is.
And they've taken a notch higher. I love that they're actually performing it, and I'm seeing much more confidence. Very, very nice jump series. Strata jump into a sheet jump. They've changed that in the requirements. They don't have to show the different shapes, 2 different shapes in their jumps, but it's nice to see.
Especially for her, it's an asset.
This team has really improved across the board, every single event.
You see Amanda Jetter's average score there. Very impressive for Alabama. There's been a little bit of a lineup change. She is now in the lineup in place of Angelina Giancroce.
And we've not seen Carly Sims, who is just such an incredible performer. She had a little bit of a ankle sprain in the last meet. They are playing it safe. She warmed up, so she's fine, but they're really playing it safe early in the season. Radiant double front, look at the landing there.
Now that's one of those big E-level skills, as you mentioned.
By the end of season, Alabama will be opening with all E passes, finishing with pike double back, showing a lot of difficulty.
Especially at the championship level, when you go against the top teams in the country, you have to do those huge, difficult routines cleanly.
Back 1.5 to front fold. We just saw from the gymnast from Missouri, same pass. This is big performance, Barton. A lot of energy. Really utilizes that back 1.5 twist again, goes into a front layout this time. Strong finish. Very nice routine, nice balance between the tumbling and the choreography and performance.
She's following up Nickie Guerrero's 9.875.
Love this opening pass. Arabian double front, blind landing, but handled it beautifully. 1.5 twists and then really stretches. I think we'll see that get a little bit higher, a little more amplitude on that pass as season progresses.
Back to Missouri now. Becca Schugel, the sophomore out of Eagan, Minnesota. 9.85 the score for Brooke Kelly. So 4 very respectable scores for Missouri on beam so far.
Oh, nice. 2 back handsprings to a layout step out. So actually there's our second 3 skill pass on balance beam. The Dakota points was supposed to, the changes they made, they wanted to encourage more athletes to do the 3-element series. They're exciting to see. Oh, a little sloppy in the air on those leaps, but I know now why. She was slightly off to the side, had to correct the balance. As you can see her toe point, she's very capable of a beautiful toe point.
3 of the 4 Missouri gymnasts so far have had individual season-high scores on beam.
Kept it together. Even when that slight mistake occurred, she managed to correct it without a major error.
If they were going to show any nerves, it would be on beam at an away meet in a place like the Coleman Coliseum. So very impressed with what we're seeing from Missouri here.
Shows how well they have prepared.
This is a young team. Alabama's floor scores. Look at that, Amanda Jetter, a career high with a 9.95, well deserved. Ariana Guerra will be up next.
She's going to open with a tuck double back, but she will be able to upgrade later on in the season.
Another gymnast from Texas Dreams, Zamesco Burdette, her coach.
You can see the power in the open position in the tuck. You know that can be a full in or a double layout fairly easily. She just added on to others who did the 1.5 twist to the front fall. pike double back. You can tell she's got the power. Nice how that builds from the final tumbling run all the way to the ending dance sequence. Really gets the audience into it and excited.
What a moment for this young freshman in her first meet at home for Alabama, and boy, does she deliver.
Here's this combination. 4 elements back to back to back to back. Great. Beautiful height on the pike double back. When she upgrades that first pass, she'll have a dynamite routine.
I love the look on her face. What a moment for this young lady who joins this team as not only a great athlete, but another 4.0 grade point average student for the Crimson Tide.
Hey, when you bring your coach to tears, you've done a good job.
Becca Schugel had a 9-7. Britney Ward for Missouri. Final performer on beam for the
Another
Tigers.
3-element series. 2 back handsprings to a layout step out. Good for them. Taking the risk that will pay off for this team. It's kind of like we saw with Auburn a few years back. They really wanted to push where they could push. And this is an area where I think they do push the envelope.
2 years ago, she was the junior Olympic national champion on beam.
The tension building just a little bit coming into this pass, but handled it beautifully. The cat loop to the aerial cartwheel. She's trying to smile. Just stay calm all the way through to the end. Round up 1.5, and look at that landing. What a feeling that is to hit a balance beam routine. Full of risk. Very, very nice job.
This is hers. This is going to be big right here. Right here. She's getting it. She's getting it. Come on. Yeah! Yes! Wow!
Coach
Remember when he
Welker
told us
us
the double fist pump?
that was a good one. Okay. Final performer for the Crimson Tide tonight, Lauren Beers. Ariana Guerra, a 9-9.
And Lauren loves the big, epic music. So this is her choice, a new routine. Double layout, first time to throw it this season.
Ariana Guerra's 9-9 won it for Alabama, so this is an encore of sorts because Alabama will win it tonight. But Lauren Beers has no pressure on her, and boy, does she shine in this moment.
Notice the beautiful positions in those leaps in the air. You want to be able to imagine a photographer taking a picture of those in the air. Duckworth said she really wanted to add a little bit of sass to this routine, push her out of her comfort zone. I see that in the choreography. Strong finish. And the crowd absolutely loves it. Loves this gymnast. She has done so much for Alabama Gymnastics. She's a great leader on this team. Way to finish.
3-time All-American and top student athlete, twice the Elite 89 award winner for not only her excellence in gymnastics, but for her work in academics as well. What a tumbling run.
Beautifully executed. Nice straight body. Slight pike down at the end, but first time this season. How fun is that? That is as close to flying as it gets.
And that score ended up a 9-9-5 for Lauren Beers. So Alabama will win it tonight. Missouri should be thrilled. 5 of 6 performances on beam were the highest of the season for them, and they, for the first time this year, over 196.05. So Missouri does a great job in an away meet with a very young team, and Alabama, as expected, delivers a 197.175 to win by just over a point over the visiting Tigers from Missouri.